touchy subject, honestly.
Clearly, kids can get back into school safely.
COVID-19 plus reopening schools equals children who die.
If they don't get education, then they are going to fall behind.
We can learn a lot from schools that have started in Europe.
There are kids that just have not figured out how to sit in front of a computer and learn.
I'm really proud that we will be inviting a percentage of students for whom distance learning might be most difficult.
Making it so that everybody is successful during this very unprecedented time.
There is so much uncertainty right now, and that is why we are devoting the next half hour to help educate parents about back to school during the COVID-19 pandemic. Good evening. I'm consumer investigator Chris Kimura. Thank you for joining us for this NBC Bay Area news special. We have lined up experts to help you, no matter whether your kids will go to school or stay home and do online learning. Tonight, we have a doctor to talk us through questions about hygiene in the classroom and new COVID-related additions to your back-to-school shopping list. If your kids are doing distance learning, we know it's not for everyone. We're going to show you how to get free tutoring help. Speaking of online learning, we have tech pros to help you tune up your Wi-Fi. And if you can't afford internet, we'll show you how to get free or reduced cost access. And we'll shine a light on UV. There are many gadgets out there that claim to kill the virus. A leading expert in ultraviolet light will join us to help you decide whether a UV device is right for you. That's just some of what we plan to cover tonight. We're going to start with a look at the rules the state laid down, how schools will determine whether they're going to start online or whether they're safe enough to commence classes on campus. Also, what happens if COVID spreads among students, faculty, and staff.
We all prefer in-classroom instructions.
But before that can happen, Governor Newsom says health data must show it's safe. He laid out a 5-part plan to get students back in the classroom. First, in all counties that are on the state's COVID-19 monitoring list, schools will start online. Now, once the county has been off the watch list for 14 straight days, school districts can return kids to the classroom, but they'll find a lot of changes.
All staff and students in 3rd grade and above must wear masks.
That's part 2. Besides masks, staff and students will be told to follow strict social distancing guidelines. Part 3, schools are encouraged to take regular temperature checks of everyone on campus. Desks and other surfaces should be cleaned and sanitized throughout the day, every day. Part 4, regular virus testing for teachers and staff. It's not clear how often that will be, and it depends a lot on the statewide testing capacity in the weeks to come. Schools are required to have an action plan if anyone gets sick, and the state will shut down a school if it hits 5% positive tests. Finally, Part 5, rigorous online learning for students whose schools remain closed. The state will spend $5 billion to help districts equip their students for distance learning.
Learning remains non-negotiable, but neither is the safety.
Now that we know the rules, some practical advice from a world-renowned disease expert in our backyard. We ask some of the questions that are on parents' minds. If your kids actually go to classes on campus, should you send them with cleaning supplies? When they come home each day, should you immediately wash their clothes or make them take a shower? We began with how parents can gauge whether their kid's school or district is taking the right steps to keep students safe.
There have been experiments all over the world about this. And the key lessons are that it seems to work best when children are in smaller groups, continuous smaller groups, that they are physically distanced. Those are the types of processes that we need to put in place.
Surely the little ones' backpacks will need pencils, erasers, and paper when they return to class on campus. But Dr. Werner Green with the Gladstone Institute in San Francisco says kids should also have a mask. and maybe even disinfectant for their lockers and desks.
If possible, that might be a very good thing to have in the backpack. Appropriate Lysol wipes or something to clean the desk surface, that would be fine with me.
Dr. Green assigned parents some homework. Drill your kids, especially younger ones, in 3 things that'll reinforce good hygiene. First, break out a tape measure. Show them how far 6 feet apart really is. Second, start a stopwatch. Remind them how long 20 seconds of hand washing really is. Sing happy birthday twice. And third, teach proper mask use. Always over the mouth and nose, then ideally clean the mask frequently.
These are all ways to control the spread of the virus. Now, the good news is that children, young children in particular, do not seem to be the vectors of this particular coronavirus. Their greatest risk of becoming infected is from their parents or from their teacher. And if they become infected, they don't generally bring the virus home or spread it to other classmates. Maybe that they just are shedding very low quantities of virus. All of that changes, though, when kids get older. Then they start behaving like adults in terms of the transmission of the virus.
So does that mean if you have kids who are going to middle or high school, perhaps you have to have a more forceful conversation with them about how to keep clean?
Better news for preschool and elementary schools, more caution, more active approaches to prevent spread of infection, certainly needed in the high schools.
When the school bell rings and kids head home for the day, we wondered if parents should take any special precautions. Should you immediately wash your kids' clothes or make them shower?
I think that the issues of coronavirus on your clothes or probably a very, very, very low threat. I think the first thing kids should do when they come home, wash your hands and take off your mask safely. Those are much more key activities for kids than, for example, having to take a shower or change clothes, et cetera. Those are very small, those carry very small risk for transmission.
And taking the mask off properly means keeping the side that touches the face clean. And here's a suggestion. Send your kids to school with 2 masks with instructions to swap at lunchtime. All right, what about those UV light gadgets to sanitize backpacks and phones and such? Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll hear from another scientist who tells us whether those gadgets are effective. For thousands of students, this school year will start like the last one ended, learning from home. Teachers and parents agree it's not easy turning the dining room into a classroom, but a little work now can go a long way.
And I'm trying to pretend to be IT and help a 10-year-old kid try to figure out what's wrong with their computer.
Like many parents around the Bay Area, Darlene Marquez has already had a taste of a virtual school year. Darlene says she can't work from home, so she's on standby at the office to help her 5th grader connect with the classroom.
So it's kind of hard and frustrating, feeling like I'm not able to be her mom and be a parent there supporting her.
Governor Newsom says most California schools will start the fall semester with students learning at home. For teachers like Wynn Bullard in Union City, that means juggling multiple classrooms, her own and her kids.
Hectic. It was very difficult to balance the mom duties as well as teacher duties.
Now with a few months experience both remote teaching and parenting a remote learner, Wynn says she's learned a lot for the coming virtual school year. She says the top priority for parents should be getting involved and staying engaged.
Absolutely important, especially in the younger grades. They need assistance getting on the computer. They need assistance signing on to different websites and platforms.
That means parents should start planning for the school year now. Make sure your home internet is set up to handle the extra traffic. Start working on a schedule. As both a teacher and a parent, Wynn says sticking to a routine is essential to making this work.
We put together a schedule, a calendar, for my younger son. He's in 1st grade. We broke down his day with time frames, and he checked off whatever activity he was able to do independently.
Wynn says parents shouldn't expect students to spend the entire day in a video conference with their teacher. There will be lots of offline time, reading, and working on assignments. Wynn says with parental support, she's found kids are taking their online studies seriously.
I would say about 95% of my students were extremely engaged. They were looking for and craving that time with their teacher and their friends.
We may be the best kept secret.
Coming up, free homework help that we had no idea about. Experts might be on standby right now to help tutor your kids at no charge. We'll show you where to sign up for this free perk. That is next. And there are thousands of Bay Area kids who need help getting the supplies they need to go back to school. Well, you can help them by joining our Supporting Our Schools campaign. Build a virtual backpack online or just make a contribution at nbcbayarea.com/schools. We'll be right back. The internet is abuzz with ads for ultraviolet products that promise to kill viruses like COVID-19 with light. Some hospitals use UV, airports too. So should you? We asked Professor Jim Malley, one of the nation's top UV scientists, for his take on whether consumer-grade UV can give parents any health assurance.
These products and gadgets, they claim that they can help get rid of the virus. What should shoppers know about these products to buy wisely?
The vast majority of the products that we're seeing pop up on our social media are basically unproven and untested. Many of them are ineffective. In fact, quite a few of them are rubbish. And my big fear is someone's going to use this and then think they don't have to wash their hands or don't have to social distance or wear a mask. And therein lies the real public health risk of this equipment that's probably not very useful.
How big of a difference is there between the professional products and these gadgets that we're being bombarded with?
It's a great use of the word gadget. Yeah, I would say it's night and day. We haven't had any device in our testing lab that is worth its weight, is worth its salt, that's say under $400. And when you go into these large commercial applications, you know, you might see or read about a fancy UV robot with artificial intelligence. They're probably $100,000 device. So most of the stuff you're seeing on eBay or Facebook or on the market that people are selling for $25, pretty high probability that it's rubbish.
We asked 2 UV device manufacturers for their take. One did not respond. The other was not available for an interview in time for our broadcast. Still ahead, is your Wi-Fi ready for another round of work and learning from home? We've got expert advice, plus ways you can get internet access at a reduced price. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us for our NBC Bay Area Responds Fall 2020 Back to School special. With many schools starting online in a few weeks, entire families will be working and learning from home simultaneously. We want to make sure everyone stays connected to the internet, so we gathered some expert advice for you. They're 4,000 years apart, but your home Wi-Fi and the pyramids of ancient Egypt have a common Achilles heel. The Egyptians were early adopters of plumbing and the first to discover that attaching too many faucets, sinks, and toilets will drain the pipeline. Well, that same limitation from 2500 BC applies to Wi-Fi today. The more devices you run, the slower information will flow.
Now more than ever, it's important to manage our in-home network.
Adriana Arvizo is with Comcast, which owns NBC. She recommends you take command of your Wi-Fi. See if your router or internet provider offers a tracking tool. Use it to identify devices using the most bandwidth. Also, keep track of when family members are logging on. It can alert you if the kids are being data hogs with video streaming or gaming.
Easily managed from your phone or your computer. And for example, it allows you to see how many devices are connected to your network.
After you do that, here are 4 more ideas to try. Make an inventory of every device that's connected to your Wi-Fi. Then disconnect anything that's not in use. Create an internet schedule. Try to avoid too many family members online at the same time. Check your Wi-Fi router. 5 gigahertz models process data faster than older 2 gigahertz models. Viruses, malware, and spyware slow down home networks, so make sure your computers are protected. Ryan Kalember with Proofpoint in Sunnyvale says teach your kids to never open an email link without mom or dad checking it first.
It is useful for any student of any age who's going to have to engage with email as a communication mechanism to learn a little bit about what to look for and what to trust and not to trust.
Most Bay Area homes are hooked up to the internet, but not all. Comcast is offering qualified families a package called Internet Essentials for $9.95 a month.
And it started for students who qualified for subsidized launches, but then it expanded to seniors, veterans, people with disabilities.
AT&T offers a similar program, Access from AT&T. It's $10 per month for families that qualify for food stamps. If you'd like to learn more about those internet options and where to find free Wi-Fi, head to our website, nbcbayarea.com/responds. Now that's all the time we have tonight, but we want to hear from you. Please take part in our Back to School survey online. We are asking parents, teachers, and students what their plans are for this unprecedented school year. Do speak up at nbcbayarea.com/school survey. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening and best wishes for a safe school year.